Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? Geoff, Mosher, Adam, Caplan here for, I think we're going to do kind of like a series sort of podcast here. We're going to get into contracts. Now, we did this last week a little bit when we did our roster review, our offseason roster review series. We did offense and defense, and we did talk about some contracts, but now we want to take a more comprehensive look at all of the contracts because, Adam, the Eagles, as we've talked about a lot, do contract differently than a lot of organizations. In fact, there are some organizations I don't even think we could do a podcast like this because they're more cash to cap, and what you see is what you get with the contract. But with the Eagles, and as we've talked about with the dummy years and the structure that they've been doing for a while, starting with Howie Roseman and, of course, Jake Rosenberg and now Bryce Johnson, who plays a big part in doing the contracts. They do a little bit differently. And because of that, they're able to, A, kind of pay their talent, and B, they're always going to have some kind of, I don't want to call it a dilemma. It's not a dilemma. They're always going to have money that we talk about in future years with certain veterans and see what they're going to do. Well, like the Saints do contracts this way. Who are some other teams, Adam, that do contracts with lots of dummy years the way the Eagles and Saints do?
Oh, Steelers, Saints have been doing it for years to keep bringing back the veterans. Now, what happens is every single year they're against the cap.
Right.
But because the cap is so flexible with the voidable years, they're able to keep bringing these guys back for the most part. Now, Teron Armstead, he had a big injury history, terrific player. Right. Best left tackles in Saints history, but they just were not there on the money because of his age and his injury history. So, but Miami's willing to pay him. The other teams that kind of do it, let me see. Is there any other team that will do it just like that? Not really.
Do you know of any teams that firmly will not have dummy years, that will do cash to cap every year? Do the Packers do cash to cap every year?
Well, what will happen is, Packers did when Andrew Brandt was there.
Right.
Andrew told us a couple of years ago, but like the Seahawks, a lot of the teams still do pay as you go.
Mm-hmm. The
Seahawks, the Panthers now, because Scott Fitter, the GM of the Panthers, came over from Seattle, so they're slowly going to the signing bonus, first year fully guaranteed money, then rolling guarantees. So if the guy's on the roster a certain date, then that base salary for that year will become fully guaranteed. Mm-hmm. That way, if they don't want the player, just cut them, and the only dead money is the signing bonus. Now, the Buccaneers were the only true team.
Right.
This was started by Mark Dominic. Mark told me this when we worked at ESPN together. He said, here's the way we're doing it. Absolutely no signing bonus. The Raiders also did this for many years, though they changed in recent years to keep some of these players together. But before Brady, they basically were doing they were doing just fully guaranteed base salaries, no signing bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And if you evaluate the player right, there's going to be no dead money. Now, because they wanted to run it back, and when Brady came in, they had to do certain things they were not used to doing, but they wanted to keep they want to go for it. And that's part of what the Eagles have done. I'm going to say since 2016, especially, is the restructures, clearing up more money, creating voidable years. A lot of them. Lane Johnson's the king of them. He's probably restructured 4 or 5 times. He's I think his voidables go through 29.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny because we're going to talk to Nick Polk soon, who's the former Falcons contract negotiator. Nick had a certain way of doing contracts. He and I have talked about that over the years. It is funny though, depending on the team and what their view of how to structure contracts is. Not everybody agrees with it.
Right.
But on your question, the Saints for years, boy, the Saints for years have done it a specific way. Now the Steelers, they do a lot of restructuring,
mm-hmm.
and that hurts them for future years. But they do a major signing bonus, 1 year fully guaranteed money, and that's it. But then what they do is they restructure as you go to keep these players with the football team.
Right. Now, of course, the philosophy is why teams kick the can down the road is that, the salary cap for the most part goes up every year, except for obviously in the COVID year, but that nobody could have planned for. So $15 million, I'm just making up a number. A player's cap charge of $15 million in 1 year may represent, X percent of your cap, but 2 or 3 years later, that same $15 million is going to be less because the cap goes up. So some teams don't mind having high cap numbers in future years because they know the salary cap goes up. So it's taking up less of your cap. And for a lot of contracts, for a lot of players who make a lot of money, left tackle, corner, quarterback, it makes a lot of sense if you're able to do that. So that's one of the reasons why the Eagles do it. They've also, I got to say though, they'll seemingly do it on any contract now. And I'm not exactly sure what, like sometimes they'll sign a 1-year veteran, which they've done recently with Jaquaski Tart, and they'll just add dummy years to keep that first year salary really low anyway. And you wonder, why does it matter to do that on a guy who's only making 1.25 or 2 million?
Yeah, a couple things here. Tart, as of this month, as of right now, early Monday morning, cannot sign his contract yet.
Right.
Just to be clear. But that's going to be a 1-year deal, as we understand it, somewhere around the Anthony Harris money. We haven't seen the structure yet, but that's what we're told by league source. So we'll see what that looks like when it's done. Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't signed it yet, but we'll see what that thing looks like. Now, let me give you an example of what you're talking about with Darius.
Real quick,
Slay,
is it possible he just hasn't come to Phil? I mean, there's nobody in Philadelphia right now.
Well,
there's no camp,
right. And they could also send him the contract.
But he's got to get his physical, right?
Right. Well, that's right. Also, right. He could sign it there. You can also do a DocuSign and sign the contract. But then the physical, he's got to get the physical. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why, it's a good point. Maybe he hasn't been around to get the physical yet. Who knows? But you were talking about the Eagles have restructured so many different contracts, so many different positions. You want to make smart bets, guys who are going to be on the team for many years to come. They made a very bad mistake on the last restructure of Alshon Jeffrey. I know they couldn't have predicted he'd break his foot, the Lift Frank injury, but he had an injury history. It's not like he didn't.
Right.
You want to make smart bets, okay? Lane Johnson, several restructures. Smart bet, because they knew he's elite. It's going to be with the team for several years. Now, Darius Slay, they restructured his contract earlier this year in March. Came off for a very good year, better than his first year. So they took his base salary and they took majority of it and converted to a signing bonus. So, and they've got voidable years though, but he only signed through 23. And we'll talk about that on the next show, that we're going to do offensive players on this show, the defensive players on the other show. But when you're going to restructure or start borrowing from base salaries to convert to signing bonuses, you better do it with guys who are not going to get cut.
Right.
Or who you trust are going to be in the team for a while. The only bad bet that they made was Alshon. Everything else seems to have worked out so far.
I'm trying to think if there were any other players that had high salary. Well, Alshon and Deshaun. It came back to hurt them on Deshaun, who also had an injury history.
Well, they extended that one, right? That one.
Yeah. Now they were able to, they obviously did the post-June one on Deshaun. So when they cut him. So it wasn't as, cost prohibitive, but it was still money that they had to take, and they didn't really get production. You always worry. The only concern is it's not the cap, because for the most part the cap's going to go up every year, and they're going to figure out ways to mitigate cap hits if they have to release a player. What you worry is the point you brought up, where let's say whether it's Darius Slay or anybody who just all of a sudden either gets injured or is in major decline, but is on the books for a lot of money, and you feel compelled that you have to play that player because you're paying him that much money. He might be making he might have a cap charge of $25 million, and he's not productive, and you're like, oh, well, I can't cut him and absorb that. So now do I try to play him when I may have somebody else that I could play? And we felt that they were doing that a little bit 2 years ago when Alshon came back from the injury, and they had a kid in Travis Fulgham who was trying to prove himself, had some good success. All of a sudden, Alshon's back. You got to play him, and Travis got his snaps reduced, and then we saw what that did to him in that year. So that's the only kind of time it's really come back to hurt the Eagles. Otherwise, they've been able to, like with Carson Wentz, they've been able to get out of these contracts with maybe high penalties, but it hasn't hurt them over the long term.
Yeah, the Wentz, you couldn't blame them. I mean, first of all, that was an extension Wentz. That was not a restructure.
Correct.
But the Wentz one, they had to, I mean, it quite frankly, if the relationship between the club and the player didn't sour like it did, which no one saw coming at the point that when they did it, it would have been a very good deal for the club. It just, what can you do?
Right.
That you couldn't bet on. But Deshaun got an extension at the time of the trade in March of 19, a 3-year extension, decent guarantees. But the only issue for that one was we forget that he was an older player who, by the way, turns 36 this December. Worst time.
Right. Crazy. All right. So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to talk about some of the players who got extensions last year. And there's about 4 or 5 guys that got big time extensions. We're going to go over those contracts. We're also going to talk about some guys who are looking at potential extensions after this year, including Jalen Hurts. And we'll kind of look at the marketplace and compare. And then Adam and I will do a little analysis. You know, does this person seem like they're worth that money? Should the Eagles make the extension or let it play out? And we'll get into that and give our analysis with it. Before we get into the whole, rigmarole of the contracts, I want to have everybody make sure they are checking out InsideTheBirds.com. Have a lot of good content up there. Andrew DeCecco has been doing an off-season recap series. It's been fantastic. So hopefully you go out there and check out his work. Also, everybody knows we do our Football at 4 segment with 97.3 ESPN in South Jersey, where you can hear either me, Adam, or Andrew DeCecco Monday through Friday at 4:00 doing their Football at 4. They've been doing a really good series. Mike Gill is the host there, doing a good series with Andrew, where they've been kind of going around the NFL and previewing each division. Usually that's on Thursday. So if you haven't listened to it, they're all of these episodes, including the ones Adam and I do, are on the YouTube channel and also with Andrew DeCecco. So you should go back and check out the divisional previews, because it's not just, hey, Andrew, who do you think is going to be good this year in the AFC West? I mean, they really break it down. They go through rookies and veterans and free agent additions and subtractions. It's been really good stuff.
No, he's done a great job with it. Yeah, we've gotten some good comments on that. So
yeah,
you definitely. In fact, my last 3 or 4 segments have been. I've kind of got to try to go away from what we've been talking about on our show. We've done some different stuff, Mike and I. It's been pretty cool. He threw some stuff at me. Yeah, it's been. I love doing that, doing stuff that's not just what we're doing on our show, where we talk about different stuff, go around the league. Just some stuff in Eagles history, which we were talking. I gave a couple nuggets out, which you and I probably didn't even talk about. Well, there's one I can't. It was on just something that happened about a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was one of them was probably Nick Foles and how Nick Foles became an Eagle, which shot. Remember how he was not supposed to be the pick.
Nope.
It was the Russell Wilson year and how that happened, and it was Andy Reid's call, and they took him higher than their grade and stuff like that. Like we love doing things that are out of the ordinary with Mike, and we do that. That's right, Monday through Friday. It's great.
Monday through Friday. All right, fellas, if you find yourself fumbling in the bedroom, you're not alone. Millions of men will experience some form of ED, and it can feel defeating. Well, maybe you're like us and you've tried pills and diets, exercises. We've found something, though, that's clinically proven to help you get back in the game. Meet Eddie, a discreet device designed to help you strengthen and maintain your erection so you can break through the O-line again. Pills can be expensive and have a long-term side effect. So we checked out EddieByGiddy.com and found out that over 95% of men experience positive results wearing Eddie, according to a 2021 clinical trial. So grab life by the balls and stop getting sacked by ED. Sign up for a subscription at buyeddy.com/InsideTheBirds and save 20% on your first device with promo code IB20. With free device resizes and a 60-day guarantee, you'll be glad you tried it. Treat ED with Eddie at buyeddy.com/InsideTheBirds. All right, let us go to talk about the guys who had their contract extensions last year. it's kind of like becoming the core of the team. Adam, you got Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, Josh Sweat, and Avonte Maddox, four of the most important players at their positions on this Eagles team.
Yeah, so the way they did is interesting. And we're going to take you deep into this stuff. Most of the stuff we've not talked about before. So this is going to explain to you how the Eagles look at contracts. And you asked that question, how they do things differently than other teams, and how agents look at them, because there has to be an agreement. You have to kind of meet in the middle, because the Eagles love doing these option bonuses,
right?
Which we've talked about. But what agents have been smart, they're like, okay, if we're going to do an option bonus, we want that thing to be fully guaranteed if he's on the roster at a certain point. We're going to talk about that, because this has been the new thing, doing these advanced guarantees, which the first time I ever saw that was in Jay Cutler, and Bus Cook, his agent, did this one, I don't know, 6 years ago or something, 6 or 7 years ago, where let's say his base salary was $30 million for 2023. If he was on the roster in March of 2022, that base salary would be fully guaranteed the next year. It's called an advanced guarantee,
right?
Where you don't have to fund the guarantee when it's signed, because it's not fully guaranteed. Because the NFL's got that funding rule where a majority of the fully guaranteed money at signing has got to be put in escrow. Well, in the new CBA, you don't have to put the whole thing in. You have to put a majority of the full guarantees at signing. And so there's been a compromise where, as I was discussing on that Jay Cutler deal, there's a workaround where both sides feel good about it. Whereas before, teams are like, "Oh, we're fully guaranteed at signing." Now we're not doing that. He's got to be on the roster the fifth day of the league year in year two. Then we'll fully guarantee his money. So now there's doing these advances, and that's been the structure. So on Dallas Goedert's deal, which was 4 year, his extension, which was done in November. Now it would have been done by the start of the season, or even before, how they traded Ertz when they tried to trade him at last year's draft and couldn't get a deal done.
Right.
So they had to wait till Ertz's deal was done. Did it, I think, 2 or 3 weeks later. And they didn't make Goddard wait. They did it on the last year of his deal. And this has been the 2018 draft class. 4 of them. Goddard, November 19th, and he was the last one to get done. Actually, Maddox and Goddard, who were roommates, got theirs done basically within days of each other. Remember when Maddox came on ITV TV the week before he got the deal done? He goes, "Yeah, not much going on." And a week later, he got his deal done.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That's funny.
Because he was talking about he talked about Dallas Goedert's extension on our show, I believe, and then he said all of a sudden he had one a week later. So Goddard signed 4 years, $57 million. And listen, with all of these extensions, there's always some risk, because a guy like Dallas Goedert has been hurt at times throughout his career. But then there's always some reward where you get a guy extended before the market has a chance to go crazy. So 4 years, 57, that's probably an average of like what, $14-15 million. My quick math tells me.
Yes, exactly. 14, in the neighborhood of 14.5 million.
Did anybody else sign after that, or were they all those contracts from Kelsey and Kittle? Were those done beforehand?
Those were done well beforehand. The Kittle one, no one's going to get. I mean, that's the one everybody wants to get, but they're just not going to get it.
Yeah,
it did a rare structure. In fact, the structure that the Niners did, they didn't make him have to wait till April 1st to get the guarantees to vest. His agent Jack Becta, who's from Philly, by the way, did a good job of getting the guarantees to vest closer to start of free agency. But with Goddard, here's where the agents did a good job. They did the advanced guarantee. So he had like a $13 million option bonus, which was a 2023 option bonus for $13 million. That one became fully guaranteed in March of 2022. So the Eagles avoided the funding rule, have to put a majority of that money on the side in escrow. But what happened was they just fully guaranteed that $13 million for next year. That's just an option bonus. So that's the compromise that you get between both sides.
Right.
And he's going to make $29 million over the first 2 years. So it's a pretty good number.
Yeah. About 14.5 mil over the first 2 years.
Yeah. I say only $15 million fully guaranteed at signing. But again, because of that option bonus, he gets on top of his base salary, he gets that option bonus, which became fully guaranteed in starting free agency this year. So this is very similar to what Jordan Mailata's deal. Now, he signed his literally right before the season started on March 11th last year. 60 million a year, 4 years, 64 million, 19 million fully guaranteed at signing. It's got the usual, it's basically got a 2-year structure. Now, I know some people say this is a team-friendly deal. You can make that, you could say that, no question about it. But when you have to look at his situation, being that he missed the first 2 years of his career essentially with a bad back, and he had not put together you saw the improvement when his first full year, and then last year he improved, but the Eagles this is like an old school Eagles deal. Let's do it early. When we say early, it was during this last year. They could have made him wait, but if they would have done that, they probably, if they couldn't get a deal done, they would have had to use their franchise tag, which you try to avoid anyway, because that base salary can't be changed unless the agent and player agree to it.
Right.
So, and then you got the 2 defensive guys, Josh Sweat, who also signed in September, who got a very good, strong structure, 3 years, 40 million. It's an extension, 3 years extension, 40 million.
Yep.
About 15 million, same fully guaranteed money that Goddard got, and just a little bit short on the full the guarantee, the full guarantees through 2023.
Yeah.
He's got the vesting thing where if he's on the roster a certain date, that number becomes fully guaranteed the next year, just in 23. So it's almost identical to Goddard's structure. First 2 years, you're not walking away. You would walk away of these deals if you weren't happy with it after 23. People always ask, when are the outs? The real outs would be after 23, which means you got a 2-year window, see how they do. This 18 class, I mean, who was the 5th guy? Who was the 5th guy that class?
Man, Goddard was the 2nd round pick. Maddox was the 4th.
Yeah, 4th. Yeah.
4th. Sweat was also a 4th, right? And who was the? Man, I'm trying to. I don't want to have to look it up. Oh man,
I know.
Mailata was what, the 7th? Because Mailata was
7th.
there. 7th. There was it. Wait, there was only 5 players picked.
Right. No. Right. Who was the
right? So
player?
Goddard, Mailata, Sweat,
Maddox.
Had to be like an offensive lineman, right? Because it's always offensive lineman or defensive lineman. It's a great question. Now I'm gonna have to go look it up.
I am. I just did.
Did you?
Yes. It would be.
Matt
Matt Pryor.
Matt Pryor. Yeah.
Matt Pryor got.
NFL.
What's that?
He's still in the NFL.
He got $5 million from the Colts. $5 million. The guy's now is he a backup?
Robbery. Yeah.
That's true. And by the way, the money, the $5 million is real. It's $5 million in cash. I couldn't believe it. I thought he might be worth $2 million. Man, I know the Colts have a ton of cap space, so they got to use it. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, man, for a backup.
I know.
Who really had, I would have to say, probably had as many downs as he had ups as an Eagles.
More downs.
Yeah, maybe more.
Here's the thing with him. So they've got the Colts drafted the project Raymond, Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan, who is a little older. He turns 25 September. He might not be. He dropped. People were saying late 3rd, 1st round. He went in the 3rd. So if he's not ready, Matt Pryor is your starting left tackle for the Colts.
All right. Well, I don't know how Matt Ryan feels about that.
That's how I hear you. Look, and that's the blind side. He's the right-handed. I thought it was wrong when the numbers were put out there, but nope. It's Matt Pryor is quite as good for him.
I'm sure the Colts fans are looking at that deal the same way Eagles fans look at the Derek Barnett deal. Like, what was that for?
Well, it's actually, the funny thing, it's actually more than that. It's actually 5.545 million. 5.3 million of Pryor's deal is fully guaranteed. Now I know he could play multiple positions.
Yeah.
To me, why not give him 2 million and give him upside to 5 or 6 million if he starts amount of games? I don't know, man. That was charitable, but good job by the agent.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
job, buddy.
definitely good job. Good job. So Mailata's contract, which he signed last year as well, 4 years, 64 million,
Yeah.
which is about 16 a year. It's interesting because Pro Football Focus recently called it the best contract in the NFL.
It's a good one because he's a left tackle, and it's I'd say only 60 million a year. There's
Well, I
now
mean,
he's
Trent
got
Williams is making almost double that, is he now? And I don't want to say double that, but I
Trent
mean,
Williams is making, I think, like 25.
yeah, I mean, that's significantly
Now
higher.
he's obviously he might be a Hall of Fame player.
Sure.
He's more proven. But this guy right now, if we went through it, you could say top 5, top 7 left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Trent Williams Trent Williams. Okay, you mentioned him. He's making 23 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a 2-year structure. It's a lot of money for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some fluff to the deal after 22. And by the way, Trent Williams signed a 6-year deal. And the structure is kind of team friendly, but the APY is high at 23 million. He's a very good football player, might be a Hall of Famer someday. Kyle Shanahan's guy, coached him with Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what's going to happen with guy. If Mailata plays really well the first 2 years, I'm sure his agent will go to him. Hey, look, he deserves it. Let's go back.
Definitely.
It's fair to say it's a team friendly deal. It is. The cash is pretty decent for the first 2 years, but because he's a left tackle and he has made this big jump, but now he does have Pro Bowl incentives in his deal to bump it up a little bit. But 16 million, you could say that because he's improved so great and so much. At 60 million, very good.
Right. So going back to what you said about Goddard and Sweat, I don't see the Goddard contract as more team friendly than player friendly. I mean, Goddard's making it's fair. He's making about 14.5 million. It's like a top 5, top 6, I think, tight end contract. And to be fair, he's not had like 1,000. Greg Kittle's had like 1,000-yard seasons. Darren Waller's had 1,000-yard season, if I'm not mistaken.
George Kittle and George Kittle is an unbelievable blocker.
Right.
Now he's had a big injury history.
Yes.
Now, George Kittle's got Kyle Shanahan loves him like his son because of how much they run the ball and what he does for the run game.
Right.
And the Eagles know what did he have? Was he 15 for 15 in that game?
Yeah.
But it's a very fair deal. I like the structure, the compromise that they found.
Mm-hmm.
Fully guarantee that option bonus if he's on the roster. In fact, he got it now. So he basically is getting the first 2 years fully guaranteed, all the cash.
Right.
That's good. It's a fair deal. And you're right. He has not put together the big year yet. Now, why? Injury, as you said. Mm-hmm. The other part of it is he had to deal with Hurts the whole time. Now there's no more Zach Ertz.
Right. So last year he had 56 catches, which I thought was his career high. Then I realized he had 58 in 2019. But then he also had a career high 830 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's really good. The 830 yards sticks out as really good. But I think if you're going to be paid that high and, you're going to be one of the best options, like there's room to be 9. I don't know if he'll ever be 1,000. I don't think he's Travis Kelce. And I don't think in this offense he'll ever be especially now with AJ Brown. I don't know if he's going to be a number 1 target. He might be a 2 or a 1A. No, I think more like a 2. He might share it. He might share that though, depending on how depending on how the offensive structure is, right? Yeah, he might share it with 2, and it could be one game where he does have like 1 or 2. He is the number 1 or 2 target, but so I don't think it's fair to expect 1,000, but you could probably get him around 900 yards. But you want to see that touchdown number go up, and then of course the catch. You just want to see him be more consistent catching the ball and beating man coverage to really say, he's paid and he is a top 5 tight end.
Yeah. And the only thing is he almost put 20% of his yardage up in 2 games back to back. That monster Jet game, which seemed like they didn't cover him.
Right.
Minshew played. And then the Washington game where he was very active. The game after that, 7 for 135, and the Jet game 6 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. So you'd like to see him be more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a seam guy. He can block. He's a really good player, but he just is not being consistent enough. The hands, as you mentioned, seemingly sometimes he drops the ball. You go, how did he drop that? And then the injuries, and he's had his share of them. But now again, he's not sharing it with Ertz anymore. But you were mentioning they're theoretically the top pass target should be Brown. Smith probably 1A and Goddard after that. Now you're right. There are going to be some games when Goddard dominates because he's a 3-down tight end.
Right.
And where you go, wow, he had 8 for 150 today. Holy smokes, he ran it because he's a seam guy. I know Cosell loves him. He's always said how athletic he is, but he just has to put it together, as you were talking about.
Yeah. By the way, you know how Eagles fans are very used to always getting burned by a pass catching running back from Washington? I mean, it used to be Chris Thompson. It used to be before that somebody else. I mean, it was just always the Washington always seems to have a pass catching running back who beats the Eagles. Washington must get tired of getting beaten by Eagles tight ends because Ertz used to kill. Well, even before Ertz was the Pro Bowl. I mean, even his first 2 years, 3 years in the league, he would just annihilate Washington. And now Dallas Goedert taking the torch right there and doing the same thing to Washington. So they're probably getting tired of Eagles tight ends. Adam, if you look at the Josh Sweat contract and the fact that he's averaging about 13.8, 13.9 a year, and he's either your best or second best edge defender, which is a premium position, and say, wow, I have my second best edge rusher making less money than my tight end. That's pretty good. I mean, to me, that's more team friendly than the Goddard contract. I think the Sweat contract is really team friendly because he's, they took advantage of the fact they limited his snaps. He's never had like a 12 sack type year, but he's a good pass rusher and he's making less than the tight end. I think that's good.
Well, he played a lot. Actually, he played a lot last year for
I meant that before the contract extension, though, his first few years, they limited the snaps.
Yes. Well, plus he had to get his knee right.
Right.
And he's been a great story of development. He's just not it's funny. Goddard and Sweat are similar. See, I wouldn't call Sweat an underachiever. Like I wouldn't call Goddard quite an underachiever, but he should be better than he has been. We know Ertz has been a big part of that because they had to share the role. But they're just like if you're watching me on YouTube, this is where you like to get them. They're right here. But as we were talking about in a recent show, I don't know what Sweat's upside is. This is great story development. There's no question about it. He's been way better than anyone could have imagined, considering of where he had to come from with that knee.
All right.
I don't know if he's a 11 or 12. We haven't seen that yet. The scheme's going to change somewhat as we understand it. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they use him this season.
That's a very good point. I mean, it would be a shame if 6 or 7 weeks into the season, because of the new scheme, Sweat just isn't acclimating. Maybe like the way Fletch had struggled last year, and you're like, this guy's making almost $14 million a year, but he's really not, adjusting to what this team needs to do. But we're far from that. For as of now, as of what he did last year, to have him at 13.9 is a good, or 13.8, whatever it is a really nice deal for the Eagles. Avonte Maddox will round that out. I mean, I always feel like slot cornerback contracts, I don't even know what the market, like what's comparable, like who's the best slot corner in the NFL.
They're all, because these are comped out, the $7.5 million a year, $22.5 million over 3 years, $9.4 million fully guaranteed signing. The slot corners, they're very similar. You could see the comps that they did on it. If you looked up the slot corners, a lot of them are the same.
Right.
You're not going to see a double-digit true slot, double-digit million per year, because they're sort of discriminated against the slot corners because they don't play a lot outside. Of course, Maddox did play a lot outside before because he had to.
Right.
And then once they got Steve Nelson, they were able to put Maddox strictly in the inside last year, which we were talking about the last year's offseason. Yep. Now they could finally have him play the slot. But they got very lucky that they didn't have anyone, that Nelson and Slay didn't get hurt. That's you worry about that. I know Maddox can do it because he's done it before, but it's just not ideal when he's playing outside.
All right. We're going to get into some other contracts in a second, but first we got to tell you about the new partner we've been talking about, and we've wanted them for a long time, Freestone Farms CBD. It's our favorite CBD brand because they farm it themselves with all organic inputs, and they offer you some education on what they grow and how to grow it, how they grow it to make the best quality product on the market. Look, we've tried a lot of different brands, But honestly, Freestone Farm CBD, it's been amazing for us. We like it after using workouts, kind of helps with that post-workout feel. And also definitely before bed, we're all sleeping better at night because of it. So what's even more exciting is our friends at Freestone Farms just unveiled an all new strain menu with some supremely good CBD at prices you will love. Check out Freestone Farms CBD.com and you'll find it all there. Trust us, this menu is something you got to check out. They got strains like their insane tropical tasting Bayox. It clocks in at a chart topping 24.1%. And there's also the super CBD. It's a half Hindu Kush at 21%. The genetics these guys use don't get any better. They also grow all of their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with organic inputs and IPM. There's absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar. After harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell is enough to know it's CBD done right. And it's a product that's great for anyone looking to take a natural approach to what they put into their bodies. All right. On top of that, use promo code ITB for 20% off at checkout. That's promo code ITB at checkout on FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. All right. So we wanted to take a look at some potential extensions that would come up for offensive players. Obviously, the biggest name about to enter his third season would be Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. He is about to enter the third year of a 4-year rookie deal. The Eagles have had a starting quarterback on cheap for the last 1.25 years and about to have him again at a really good number. But he will be eligible, as we talked about in the last podcast, Adam, he will be eligible for an extension after this year. And we'll see if the Eagles decide whether he's the guy they want to go with going forward, and then what kind of salary would be commensurate.
Yeah, so they could literally do this, and if the Eagles don't make the playoffs, they could literally do this in January if they wanted to. Now, if they don't make the playoffs, I can't imagine Hurts gets this contract extended, because you would think he'd be a part of the reason why they didn't get to the playoffs. Or if they do get the playoffs this time around, I just have a feeling if they make the playoffs, it won't be just because he's their quarterback, and because he played well.
Right.
I think it would be a big part of that based on his offseason, which we've heard has been pretty good, and all that they've helped him, getting talent around him. This is the most talent they've had on offense in a long time. And we'll see how it goes. But if you just look at his contract this year, I mean, we were talking to Gardner Minshew's making more than he is. That's just, this does happen, but it's rare where the backup quarterback makes more. But we understand why, because you cannot adjust Hurts' contract until after the third season is done, whatever their season ends.
Right.
He's only going to make $1.1 million this year, cap number $1.6 million. The last year, $1.331 million, cap number $1.97 million. None of it's fully guaranteed. It's kind of one of these things where they didn't, who the hell knew when they drafted him? He wanted being their starter. It was never the plan, but it is what it is.
Right.
So the question is, and this is where it becomes a big challenge, but we think we've got a couple answers here for you, because we've been asked this a lot over the last couple of months in our these have been emailed to us about it. We've kind of held off on answering these questions because we wanted to wait till the right time to talk about contracts. People want to know what's the Hurts deal would it look like. Now, it's not going to be Rodgers. It's not going to be, no matter how well he plays, so he's not going to get $50 million a year. Watson, the best contract in NFL history, 4 years, $230 million, $46 million, all APY, all of it fully guaranteed. Wow. Right. No way. Now the Mahomes contract, 10 years, $450 million, very team friendly, still $45 million a year. Josh Allen, no chance.
Imagine calling a $45 million
I know
contract,
but they add all these outs in it, and it's just a very odd contract.
Right.
Josh Allen, 6 years, $258, $43 million a year, no chance. Stafford, 4 for $160, $40 million a year, no chance. Guarantees you're too strong. Prescott, forget it, 4 $160, $40 million a year. Cowboys waiting too long. Structure's very player friendly. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting. Let's say Hurts has a breakout season, like 30 passing touchdowns, where everybody watches, knows it. When we do our pregame show, Cosell and Avant go, oh, boy, did he have a really good year. I know it's only one really good year. Well, guess what? Derek Carr is a nice quarterback. He's never been a great player. Above average to good player, nothing special, but good player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you say nothing special,
Solid player.
I think he's pretty better than nothing special, but I hear what you're saying. He's
Solid
not
player.
he's
It's
not
a
like
solid
a
player.
Hall of Famer. Yeah.
No, but what does he really want? You have to ask this question. What does he really want?
Fair,
I know
that's a fair question.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's not, look, talent around him, coaching, no question. But the fact of the matter is, and he's gone through, Jack Del Rio and actually a couple coaches here, Gruden.
Right.
And his first head coach in 2014, I think, was Dennis Allen, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was,
What was it?
didn't the Raiders have like a one-year coach who was a disaster? Why can't I remember?
Well, Hugh Jackson was an absolute disaster.
Yeah, but was Carr on the team at that point?
Who's that?
Was Carr the quarterback at that point?
Trying to think
who they had Carson Palmer that year.
It was Dennis Allen, 2014.
Okay, it was Dennis Allen.
Right. Oh yeah, D. Filippo told us that was Derek Carr's first coach.
Yeah, that's right.
And Greg Olson was the OC. So getting back to this situation with Hurts, if you look at these deals now, Carr. See, here's the interesting thing about Carr. He got a 3-year extension worth $122 million. It just under $41 million per season. Here's the thing, though. It's just a 1-year structure. Very team friendly. There's Eagles are not going to over 40 million a year is just, I don't care how well Hurts plays. This is not going to happen. But what you can do is load up 1 year. If you look at Carr's deal, right, he got a $7.5 million signing bonus. His base salary is $17.4 million. So make $25 million in year one. Now, what the Raiders did, what his agent did was smart. The base salary is ridiculous, $32.9 million. He's not going to get that if he doesn't play well. But what the agent did is really smart. And we've seen other agents do this, not enough of them. His Carr's base salary becomes fully guaranteed, the $32.9 million, the third day of the waiver period, which is the third day after the Super Bowl. He's like, hey, listen, his agent's Tim Younger. You're going to make a decision on my client's contract, and you're going to do it early. You're not going to wait till March.
Right.
You don't want him. I want him out of here.
Not going to wait till the draft when you
right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to do that. So yes, it's team friendly. He's only, as I put in quotes, going to make $25 million the first year, and they can get out of it only paying him $25 million the first year. But they're going to have to pay him a lot of money, actually, with a workout bonus, $33 million next in 23, if he's on the roster the third day after the Super Bowl. So that's that's a structure, right?
Right.
The Eagles could, not that you want to pay him $33 million, but you would want to do it if Hurts lights it up this season, right? You love the kid, you love the character and his upbringing and all that. He's got the intangibles, but he's got to play well. He didn't play well enough last year, though. We had Greg Cosell on our show, our fantasy show last Friday on Sirius. He did say he went through. He's done Daniel Jones. He went down. We're going to talk to Greg about the NFC East and the Eagles schedule in July. He did Daniel Jones's third down passes, all of them. And he did Hurts. He just started getting to Hurts's. And remember how you'd said about Hurts, the one issue you had with him is that he bails a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's the kind of repetitive theme that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
The first thing that Greg said, he goes, you know what? There's some really good stuff here on the third down plays. And he wasn't specific which games, but there was one common problem. So many times he bailed from the pocket when he didn't have to move. There was no reason to move,
right?
Which causes him to move his eyes and also not see the target. Like, don't move, just stay there. You're tall enough. You're in shotgun.
Yep.
Football.
Remember, Trey Thomas did an excellent job of doing when he did his series with us back in, I want to say February or March, pointing out that Jalen seemed to get jittery not only when he felt an opposing rusher coming, but even when, say, a running back like Miles Sanders would cross his face to come pick up a blitz or just cross his face to, position himself. That would make him even want to get out of the pocket, even if the pressure wasn't there.
That's not good when you see a player of your own team, your own jersey, and you're moving. You know,
Yes.
you should just hang in the pocket. But it's just more it's just with Hurts is one of his challenges is just being comfortable in the scheme because it's new to him. The hope is in year 2, and what we had heard his time was much better in OTAs. I understand no pass rush, but we'll see if this happens in training camp where he's not dropping his eyes. He's going through his progression left to right or right, whatever the read is. But look, if he plays great, based on the way that Roseman does it, as he learned from Joe Banner, you're going to want to get in early. And if this is not a gimmick up, this is not like Nick Foles and the gimmick offense he was playing with Chip Kelly in 2013 when he had a great year, 26-2, was it? Is that the number? Like
27-2, I think it
right,
was.
27-2.
Yeah.
That was a gimmick offense. Okay. This is not a gimmick offense.
It's a gimmick season.
Right. Yeah, true. If you look at the whole thing with Chip, sure. But if we all watch and we say, wow, he played really well, he's getting his contract extended. There's no question about it. Because you had asked me this, just one thing. You asked me last year, prior to the season, what will it take for us to feel like he should come back? He didn't play that well, but they wanted to give him a second year in this offense. They wanted to be fair to him. Right. And that's why I think they did it.
So I think I know the answer, but I want you to explain, because you ruled out the idea of Jalen Hurts even playing well, leading team to playoffs. Maybe he wins a playoff game. You ruled out the idea of him getting anything close to Dak Prescott's 4-year, $160 million, $40 million APY contract. And to play devil's advocate, Adam, if Jalen Hurts were to lead the team to the playoffs and even win a playoff game, then he would have as many playoff wins and appearances as Dak Prescott at the time that Prescott signed that contract. So why would Jalen Hurts not be deserving of the same kind of contract? Bam, go.
So many better years. Like Dak Prescott was good immediately. Like he was when he took over for Tony Romo. That's why Romo never got the job back. He was so good when Romo broke his collarbone. He just Romo got hurt in that Seattle preseason game, and Prescott came in. He was good from the very start. The other thing was they were hopeful, the Cowboys. This is an interesting discussion because when you talk about 4th-round pick, you can't say that they knew that the guy would be their starter. They didn't know that when they drafted him. It just one thing led to another, and he was so good immediately. Hurts never showed that. Where Dak was good immediately. Now the other
over 100. He had over 100 passer ratings in his first 7 starts, I believe.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would tell you how he was just. It's one of these things where he's just good immediately.
Yeah, I think there's another element to that, right? And it's the leverage, because even though Dak Prescott got hurt that last, because the Cowboys waited, they never gave him an extension after the 3rd year. Then they wound up putting the franchise tag on him. Then he got hurt. And then they had to kind of make do with guys like Andy Dalton and Ben DiNucci and whoever, and they were bad. And then all of a sudden it was either, what do we do now? We have to pay Dak Prescott. And so Dak had a lot of leverage at that point. If Jalen Hurts were to do this season, make the playoffs, win a playoff game, it's still the end of his 3rd year. The Eagles would still have another year of control. Not that they would want to exercise on it, but if Jalen wanted to exercise his leverage, he would have to turn down what the Eagles offered him and hope to do it again in a year and then be able to sign something close to what Dak did.
And by the way, the first 2 years of Dak Prescott's deal, because he got a fat signing bonus of $66 million, he'll make $95 million the first 2 years of the extension. I mean, that's because the guy was just good from day one. Again, not expected. He got a 4th-round pick. But the funny thing is, no one thought immediately that no one knew that he could be the starter eventually for Romo, and we know how that worked out.
Right.
Whereas it wasn't out of the question that they were going to evaluate the possibility of it. Whereas with Hurts, there was no thought if he could ever be a starter for the Eagles, other than to be a great backup, hopefully, if Wentz had the injury history. And then their hope was they'd flip Hurts based on 2, 3, 4 games of filling in for Wentz over a 3-year period, and then flip him in the 4th year. Well, that's not what happened because Wentz had a major falling out with the club, and here we are.
All right. Let's talk about the other offensive player who could potentially be up for a contract extension. Before we do that,
by the way, one thing, the deal that people pointed out, and I think it's fair, is Ryan Tannehill, $29.5 million a year. Now that was done 2 years ago, 4 years, sure. 118 million. The really player friendly structure, really a 3-year structure based on the future guarantee, based on the advanced guarantees on his contract. Great job by the agents. I mean, they took advantage of kind of knowing where they were, and the Titans didn't have anyone else. That I could see that deal right now being the one that the Eagles probably would offer. This is just my opinion.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more because of
inflation. Right.
Yeah,
certainly over 30 million.
Right.
But the structure is very, very player friendly. But the APY is team friendly now because the contracts, 30 million is bottom of the bucket, man. There's like no middle ground with these contracts.
There really is. It goes from 40 to 30 really fast too.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
It's just bam.
Of the new deals. Right. We're only looking 3 years. We're not going past before 2020. There's no point in it. No one would do a contract.
Right. You
shouldn't. Agents don't like doing that because clubs will go, okay, we like this one done in 2018. No, we're not doing that. So that to me is where the starting point would be. We'll see. You see again, this is strictly if Hurts plays well, when it's obvious that they got the scheme down. They've got so much talent around them. NFL's best offensive line, got a really good tight end, really good at receiver, where it's kind of obvious if he gets the job done, this group's going to be together for a while.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, I want to tell everybody about our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. Make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. Let's pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you hop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get the very best deal. All right. So this one is seemingly more unlikely to happen than, say, Jalen Hurts because of the nature of the position. But Miles Sanders obviously enters the 4th year of his rookie contract. So he is, this is the last 4th and final year.
Yeah. They could do it now.
Yeah, they could do it. They could do it now. They're obviously probably not going to do it now. I can't imagine it happening. I can't imagine Miles kind of wanting to sign anyone. I think he right now wants to prove how good he can be and see if he can't get one of those really good, have a great year and then try to go into free agency and get it. I mean, guys, I got like James Conner last year, got 21 million right over 3 years from the Cardinals. And, they're different kinds of running backs, but certainly Miles Sanders can have a kind of year that James Conner had his last year in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I got to tell you, James Conner got a much better deal than I expected.
It's you and me both. Yep.
Yeah, he re-signed. Okay, he did a 1-year deal, and he kicked ass. He scored a bunch of touchdowns. Now he has a big injury history,
right? But
great story. Scored a bunch of touchdowns. Really helped their run game. Really good in short yardage. There's another one where there's just no middle ground here. There's no kind of common ground on these contracts, like these mid-level contracts. It's either the top of the line from 12 million to 16 million. McCaffrey got the best running back contract in NFL history. Unbelievably player friendly, very bad club friendly here. Right. It's just not. 4 years, 64 million, 60 million APY. The structure was like 3 years. And by the way, they didn't have to do it. There was no reason for them to do this one when they stayed 2 years left on his deal. I don't know why they did it. And now you see, in fact, they could get out of it after this year. The guaranteed money expires, but what a great contract. One of the best contracts, quite frankly, in NFL history. Not only is it the best running back contract in NFL history, it's one of the best ones I've seen.
Right.
Incredibly player friendly. Now, So that's 60 million, forget it. Kamara, 5 years, 75 million, 15 million a year, forget it. Dalvin Cook, 5 for 63, 12.6 million a year. That's too high, but it's extremely team friendly. It's a very high 1-year structure. Then the rolling guarantees. See, we were talking about this. The Vikings are old school. Rob Brzezinski, their cap guy, does a phenomenal job. This is so team friendly. A lot of their deals are team friendly, not all of them. Kirk Cousins, not team friendly. But that one is very team friendly. Derrick Henry, 4 years, 50 million, 12.5 million. APY, not happening. Nick Chubb, 3 years, 37 million. This is very player friendly, 12.25 million per year. Can do it. He's also been way better. I know he's had injury history, but he's good every year. This one is fascinating. Joe Mixon, 4 years, 48 million, 12 million per year, but only 10 million fully guaranteed at signing. The full guarantee at signing was very low, very team friendly.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. Aaron Jones, 4 years, 48 million, 12 million season. His guarantee was better, so that's out of the question. But the Connor one, this is a decent comp. Why? Both of it missed a lot of time in their careers.
Yeah. Yes, they both have. And funny, this position, just discussion about running back and paying running backs, nothing brings out the extremists going at each other. Don't pay running backs.
Yeah.
Why? Christian McCaffrey. All right, so it's a player-friendly contract. He makes 16 million. It's an albatross for the Carolina Panthers, right? 16 million a year. Well, Dalvin Cook's 12.5 million a year, a little bit more than that, is considered team-friendly. So the difference between a player-friendly and a team-friendly contract is literally like $3.5 million. That's not a lot of money. And I would also say, although McCaffrey's contract is hurt because he hasn't played and been injured, and that's feeds into the don't pay running backs crowd. Where would the Saints be without Kamara? Where would the Vikings be without Cook? And where would the Titans certainly be without Derrick Henry? I know they got the number 1 seed, even though he got hurt, but that's still a Derrick Henry offense and operation there. Same thing with Cleveland Browns and what they're going to do without Nick Chubb. I mean, listen, I get understanding not wanting to just completely break the bank, but again, there's not a lot of difference between McCaffrey and the other guys. It's just 2-3.5 million in some cases.
Well, but I would disagree because
I guess the guarantees are what's different.
Oh, the guarantees are ridiculous in McCaffrey's contract.
But you weren't going to cut any of these guys anyway. I guess that
I
my
know,
point is, no matter
know.
what, even with Christian McCaffrey, if he had no guaranteed money left, he's still not getting cut because even though he's been hurt, he's still a really good player when healthy. So they're going to be on the roster anyway.
Oh, look, Buffalo, I reported a couple months ago, Buffalo wanted him. They wanted McCaffrey, and the Panthers couldn't do it anyway with the cap. They said they weren't interested, and that was that.
Right.
But with Cook, see, the problem with Cook's deal is, it's 5 years, not 3 or 4 like the other guys who got extensions.
Right.
Now, I know he's got a big injury history, no question. He's making 12.6 million, where the APY is a little bit higher than the guys who are in the 12s. But the Vikings could have gotten out of the contract after last season and not owe him a dime. There's some dead money, but there's no fully guaranteed money. His base salary, Cook's 8.3 million, became fully guaranteed the 5th year of free agency this year. There was no advance guarantee on it, but this is typically the way that the Vikings do contracts. They do it a specific way until an agent's willing to challenge them. Now Cousins' agent Mike McCartney had leverage because they go to his money because he holds up at such a big cap percentage,
right?
And they he's their quarterback not only this year. Okay, Cousins, by the latest redo, he's going to be there. He's going to be through 23 based on contract structure. The roster bonus and base salary are fully guaranteed to 30 million. They can't walk away from it,
right?
Because
So with Miles, Adam, he almost has to have, in order to be an Eagle again past this year, it's almost like he has to have a mediocre year, right? Because if he has a really good year, I don't see the Eagles giving him top 5 running back.
No chance. Yeah, no chance.
If he has a really bad year, the Eagles are probably just not going to retain him. But if he has like, I don't know, 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, I suppose there's a shot that they could extend him, maybe probably a short one, like a 3-year extension.
I would do Connor structure. In fact,
yeah.
If I'm the agent, he changed agents in recent years, Sanders. Connor got 3 years, 21 million, 7 million a year, which is much lower than the McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, Henry, Chubb, Mixon, and Jones. However, the full guaranteed signing is phenomenal. 13.5 million fully guaranteed is more than Mixon got guaranteed. It's basically a 2-year structure. I know. I got to give the agents credit. Great job by them. Now he obviously had a great year, but
he only had a great year. Like he had 10 touchdowns. Yeah, that's great. You're a goal line back. You score. It's not like you. I don't remember what his yards per carry average was, but I'm sure it wasn't as good as Miles Sanders. It was over 5.0 yards. Miles was at like 5.3. It was the best of his career.
He didn't score a touchdown. How does that happen?
I would say that would be an anomaly. I mean, it's again, he averaged over 5.5 yards, or he averaged around 5.5 yards per carry.
Yeah. No, you're right, because it's interesting. This is crazy with James Conner. He only had 31 more yards than the previous season with Pittsburgh. He played in more games, but here's the crazy number: 18 combined touchdowns.
I just feel like that was crazy. A fluke. Honestly, he
averaged
3.7 yards per carry. That was the lowest of his career. This guy made the Pro Bowl, lowest of his career. About
did he make? Was he named to the Pro Bowl?
He was a Pro Bowler.
Originally, he wasn't like a replacement. Wow,
he was almost. He was a full half a yard per carry down from his career, which is 4.2. He averaged 3.7. I mean, all of his statistics as far as yards per carry, yards per game, were not among his best or second best. And yet, because he scored a lot of touchdowns, he made the Pro Bowl. I mean, I think the Cardinals kind of duped themselves. I don't know that they needed to give him the contract that he did. He did catch more passes than normal. Obviously, in the air raid offense, caught 37 balls. So that was nice. But are you telling me, like, they couldn't have found somebody else to kind of put up similar numbers for less money?
I kind of agree with you in that
3.7 stinks in the NFL these
days. It's not good.
I mean, that's bad.
But it's the touchdowns, which seemingly anytime they got within the 10-yard line, he was getting the ball and he was scoring.
Yeah.
Now Connor's average per catch was really high, over 10 yards, which is maybe a function of the offense, but
probably.
You do wonder what they're going to do, because that structure, I was like, this is one of those where you look at it and like, what were they thinking? What great job by the agent or the agency to get a structure like that. So Sanders, to me, if I'm the Eagles and he has a nice year, you're not going to look, he's got to start scoring some touchdowns, but he stays relatively healthy, only misses 1 or 2 games. To me, the starting point is Connor's contract. Because the guarantee structure, the full guarantee, is really good. But although I would argue that I don't think Connor's really worth $7 million a year.
That's kind of my point. But like this discussion is about the precedent that's set. So
right,
I'm sure every NFL team is like, I guess the Cardinals were like, well, geez, if we're going to lose Christian Kirk to the highest contract, for a mediocre wide receiver, we're going to go overpay our running back. It's just really stunning. Good for Connor, though. Great story, by the way. Yeah, great. So I love the kid, by the way. I'm not trying to hate on James Conner. It's just that I just think that the touchdown total sort of exaggerates how good of a year he really had, when in actuality, the yards per carry would tell you he actually wasn't that effective last year. So, I mean, so to finish this off, I would think the starting point right now would be, because they could extend this now. And if I'm Sanders, if their Eagles are going to throw me this Conner contract, only $7 million a year, I want that 2-year structure. I don't want a 1-year structure. You're not getting out of my contract after 1 year. I want 2 years. Right. Because the full guarantee in the second year for Conner is very strong. In fact, here's his base salary of $5.75 million fully guaranteed in year 2. You're not walking away from that. You're just not. Right. That's a very strong guarantee in year 2 of a guy who's had a major injury history, Conner. But the guy's productive. He's also never run for over 1,000 yards. His best season with Pittsburgh was year 2 for 973. Right.
So that's where that's where I want to bring this one up, because there is no middle class contracts, I guess you should call these. There's just no middle class. It's either real high,
Right.
12 to 16 million, or James Conner.
Yeah. By the way, he might have been a Pro Bowl alternate. I don't know that he was. Yeah, it says he's a Pro Bowler, but I don't know. Amazing, yeah, for the second time. All right, so we'll see. We'll have to see what happens with Miles Sanders. If I had to guess, I would think this will be his last year as a Philadelphia Eagle. Unless something happens where he does have that kind of mediocre enough season to stay, but not break the bank, but also not be just tell him to go walk. Because if he has a good year, they'll definitely let him leave for a big contract, because they'll get a pretty good comp pick out of that. That'll help him in the. I should say that will help them in the comp pick formula.
Let me ask you this question. Yes, comp picks certainly let him walk if he can get a big deal. But here's my question to you.
Yeah,
they have a pretty good history of not letting good players walk, right?
Right.
Anyone offhand who they've let walk who was really good for another team where they clearly made
Jordan Hicks.
Well, he had an injury history. He started regressing.
Yeah, you didn't look. You asked a question. I'm giving it. Miles Sanders has an injury history too. So,
but that was the last time that. Okay, I'm just saying Jordan Hicks. Well, he had that one monster year.
Yeah.
No. What did he get paid?
No, he's pretty. When he was on the field, he was a pretty good player for the Eagles. Pretty consistent.
Fine player, right? Yeah. But he had that one monster year with turnovers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Big V wasn't a star, but they let a good player walk in Big V because they had better players at that position.
Oh yeah, you had to, and he was. Yeah, you were not going to pay him $10 million a year. No
right.
Right. No, but with Jordan Hicks, so the story on him was like they weren't even to the point where they're going to make him an offer. Apparently, they knew he was going to get paid.
Yep.
So they just let him walk. They didn't even try because they were not going to give a guy. They were trying to figure out how good he was, because when a guy has a year, not an Anthony Harris type year. I mean, it wasn't just the interceptions for Hicks. The tackles, so athletic, big play. Just he looked like he was going to be one of the best middle linebackers. Probably what Stuart Bradley should have been, but he tore his ACL.
Right.
Hicks looked like he was going to be a star, and then he just could not live up to that. He got hurt, and so on and so forth. But because the Eagles are good, one thing they really do a good job of. You could say they don't draft well enough. There's certainly truth to that, but when they draft, when they get the guy right, they almost always extend him. And they try to do it early.
Yeah, and by the way, that was not criticism from me of letting Jordan Hicks walk. I was just answering the question straight. When's the last time they had a pretty good player who had good stats and they just let him walk? And then, of course, it would be at that position. Probably wouldn't be any other. And maybe safety, but they haven't had a good enough safety that they just let walk. So no, the Jordan Hicks was kind of a rare breed. Yeah, the guy that they drafted, played well, and then just let walk. Him and Big V.
And that year, I guess it was his second year. The only year that he played a full season, Jordan Hicks, for the Eagles. 5 picks for linebackers, absurd.
Right.
You don't see that. 85 combined tackles. He only had a sack, but it was so much more than that. The impact tackles, impact plays, high character guy. He looked like he's going to be an absolute star. And then he got hurt in 17, missed 9 games. Was that the Achilles year?
Which year was that again? Tell me.
2017 for
him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Super Bowl year.
Right. Then the next year he missed 4 games, and then he went to Arizona, got a monster contract, and then they tried to cut his pay the final 2 years. After the first year, they weren't real happy with him, despite him putting up huge tackle numbers.
Right.
His tackle numbers jumped through the roof with Arizona. Sometimes people think there's some truth to it. The tackles are an overrated stat, but
well, it could be if you're making them 5 yards down the field,
Right. But it depends on the scheme. How are they funneled?
Of course,
who they funneled to, and so forth. But we'll see. Sanders one is kind of fascinating because if he blows it up, you make a great point. Because running back is sort of a disposable position, and they love Gainwell. I'm really interested to see what they do with Gainwell this season. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do with these contracts, because we just laid it out. Those, as we speak right now, those are the contracts high, low, and then the players are going to want to get a little bit above the low number. A couple of these guys clearly will be the running back and the quarterback, because Hurts has just got to even be in the question to even get an extend. He's got to play well.
Absolutely. All right, that will do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Do me a favor, give a good listen to the latest Powder Blue podcast with myself, and we had a pinch hitter, our good buddy Greg Hall stepped in for Frank Close, and we discussed this bittersweet last 48 hours for the Phils, where they take 3 out of 4 from the Padres, but now they have to go forward for a long, long time without their MVP Bryce Harper. So we talked about it all on the Powder Blue podcast. Do you have faith in them, Adam? Do you think that they can hang in here?
Here's what Rob Thompson. I'm a fan. The only thing that I don't like is the bullpen is really they have a great weekend.
Yeah.
But I mean, can these guys pitch 3 days in a row? Is it so bad?
That's one of the things we discussed. One
of the
things we discussed was the surprise to see Andrew Bellotti get the call in the 9th to finish it out against the Padres, and he did a great job. And actually, the surprise wasn't just that; it was that they went Knievel, Alvarado, Bellotti, and kept Hand and Sir Anthony on ice for such an important game. But so yeah, that was a little bit. Hey, it worked. It's one of those things where it worked for that game. But can you get Sir Anthony out there like more than one day or 2 days?
I know
We're all waiting for it.
Incredible. Come back from Tommy John. One more thing on the Phils. How many home runs do you think Schwarber will end with?
I think assuming he stays healthy and doesn't tear a hamstring like last year, I think he's going to hit 48 home runs.
Well, I was going to guess 45. What's he got? 21. It's Monday morning. He got his 21st Sunday, right?
Yes, and June's not over yet, so he's still got the ability to hit about 4 or 5 more before this month ends. This man has waged an assault on the month of June like I have never seen.
I know it's not just this June, but what he was a catcher, right, to start his career? Wasn't he a catcher?
I think it was catcher, and then first base, with the Cubs, right?
Then he
yeah. But listen, man, honestly, I think it's fair to say we haven't seen prodigious slugging like this. I mean, Bryce can hit him, but prodigious power like strokes like this since Ryan Howard days. I mean, Schwarber really is that guy who every single at bat you think he could leave the yard in any part of the yard that there's no yard that can hold a Schwarbomb.
I think the same thing every time he's up. I don't want to say I'm expecting it, but I'm like, we might see one here.
Yeah.
And he's been a lifesaver. Now whether they're 4 over 500, but man, their schedule.
Yep.
The Bravos this week. Is it
Braves,
Washington?
Cardinals, then Nationals, a 9-game home.
They got the Nats, right?
Yeah, you got to sweep the Nats. Yeah.
But this will be a good series, man. It's good to see Phillies competitive again. And the Harper thing sucks.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Did you see it live? When I saw it,
I did.
I thought did you think he hit the ball hit his face? I thought that's what it was until they showed the replay.
Yeah, well, at first I did. Yeah.
But thank God it's only broken. What's it? Broken thumb, right?
I mean, yeah. It's almost, you say thank God, but I mean, he could be out 3 months now. So I mean,
as long as there's no ligament damage. I mean, your typical break is anywhere 4 to 8 weeks, but
right. But he's got the ligament damage to the elbow. I mean, at some point, this guy's just going to fall apart. I mean, maybe it's interesting. Like, you can't shut him down. You gotta have to hope he comes back and for the playoffs. So,
but anyway. Oh, and then my Sixers note. I love D'Anthony Melton. I probably saw Memphis play like 30 times last season.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. If you're a Sixers fan, he brings so much energy. He came from a high tempo offense where they run a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is instant offense. He plays defense. He gets in your grill. He throws. Look, he's very aggressive offensively.
Mm-hmm.
They need that from their bench. He'll probably. As good as the kid Niang was last season, who faded late.
Yeah.
This kid is younger. He's 24, and he's explosive. And what's his name? Drafted him with Houston. So
right. I can't. There's to me. There's no net negative to that. I mean, you gave up the 23rd overall pick, and then you gave up Danny. I mean, Danny Green wasn't going to play for you.
He's going to play anyway. Yeah.
So you got something. Now it's not enough, I don't think, but it's just you got something that you need, so that's good. That's a good step, and then we'll see what happens the rest of the offseason with Harden and whatever they're able to do with their exemptions. So, But yeah, no, it was a smart move. I thought some people were criticizing. I'm like,
What do they want me to do?
You don't want Danny Green, and you're
No.
23rd. Well, you don't know what you're getting at the 23rd overall pick. So
This is not the NFL.
Yeah, and he's a young player still. So I mean, this could be a
24.
great place for him to come into his own.
Melton and Niang, and there's your bench right now. Now they're going to obviously add some players.
They got to get a better bench, man.
Yeah, it's embarrassing how bad they were. They one of the worst benches in the NBA. Painful to watch. It's completely wore down. But I trust this front office. They know what they need to do. They need to help the big guy, and they'll do that.
All right. Big thanks to our producer Tyler Strasser, doing a great job. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.